The Russian army has launched a powerful offensive in the Kursk region. Western mercenaries are lamenting their losses. Good day, dear friends. Here, in our daily format, we study the situation on the front lines, analyze maps to track advances or retreats, and assess how particular events may ultimately affect the overall situation on the front. Before we begin, I would sincerely ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription greatly supports its development. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. Today, we will focus primarily on the situation in the Kursk region, as the Russian forces have achieved significant successes there, on two fronts in fact. In one area, they have advanced 1.5 kilometers, while in another, they are approaching the town of Sudzha, with the Russian army just 3 kilometers away from the forward positions. Additionally, I've noticed requests to comment on the recent direct line with President Putin. To summarize, nothing fundamentally new was said. However, one notable moment was the president publicly admitting, for the first time, that there was no proper preparation for the special military operation. He described this as a mistake, contrary to previous claims by officials like Peskov, who maintained that everything was proceeding according to plan. This marks the first acknowledgement of errors, not blaming external factors, but stating, "We are at fault." Now let's move on to the situation on the front in the Kursk region. Let's open the map. Yesterday, during the direct line, a resident of the Kursk region asked Putin a straightforward question. When will the Russian army finally liberate its internationally recognized occupied territories? The president didn't provide a specific timeline, but assured that the region would soon be cleared. Today, news of successes by the Russian army has started coming in. Firstly, Russian forces have completed the clearance of the village of Novoivanovka, which is now entirely under Russian control. Currently, there are cautious attempts to advance further toward Leonidovo, the next village in this section where battles are expected. An even more significant success for the Russian military command was recorded near the village of Kruglenkoye. Advanced assault units managed to break through the Ukrainian armed forces' defenses and secure positions on the northern outskirts of the village. As of the time of this report, 2 outermost houses were under control. The village itself, or more accurately the hamlet, it's very small, with just about a dozen houses, is visible on the map. In addition to entering the outskirts, there was a significant breakthrough on the flank, with an advance of 1.5 kilometers. For the Kursk region, this is an unusual result, as even advances of a few hundred meters are often achieved with great difficulty. Now let's continue by explaining where the Russian army is heading in the Kursk region and what their goals are for the coming week. The movement is directed toward the village of Viktorovka, which borders Malaya Lochnya. The advance is proceeding in a broad front, from Novoivanovka to Leonidovo and then westward to Viktorovka, while also advancing from Kruglenkoye toward Viktorovka. It is important to understand that the goal is not Viktorovka itself, but the Ukrainian Armed Forces Group located further north, near Pogrebki and Malaya Lochnya. A frontal assault from this side, which continues daily, has not yielded success, so they have opted for the tactics of General Mordvichev, who commands in the Pokrovsk direction and has shown results. Instead of a direct assault, they aim to flank the Ukrainian armed forces, capture Viktorovka, and thereby cut off part of the Ukrainian forces from their main group. Overall, in the past 3 to 4 days, the Russian forces have achieved significant progress in the Kursk region. The Russian army has reclaimed 25 square kilometers of territory in recent days, and the advance continues. In addition to this section, successes have been reported further south, where Russian forces are pushing towards Sudzha and are essentially on the city's doorstep. The city of Sudzha is undoubtedly a key symbol of the Ukrainian armed forces' presence in the Kursk region. As I've stated before, and will reiterate, the loss of Sudzha would mark the end of the Ukrainian armed forces' presence in the Kursk region. Without Sudzha, they have no position to hold there. After the capture of Plekovo, Russian forces advanced to Cherkasskaya Konopelka, where they achieved further success. Currently, fighting is ongoing along the road to Sudzha, specifically near the turnoff to Makhnovka. From these positions, Russian troops are just 3.5 kilometers away from Sudzha. It's clear that the Ukrainian armed forces have managed to establish a strong defensive line here over the past 4 months, so an easy advance is not expected. Nevertheless, the progress is significant. The territory controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region has decreased from 1,200 square kilometers at its peak in August to 450 square kilometers and continues to shrink daily. Now let's say a few words about the situation in other areas of the front. As you can see, even American maps, which are often delayed in updating, now acknowledge Russian successes near Pokrovsk. As I mentioned in previous reports, a Ukrainian armed forces battalion abandoned its positions here, leaving this section of the front exposed. The Russian command capitalized on this and advanced to Volkovoye, which lies west of Peshenoye. This caused the western flank of Peshenoye's defenses to collapse. Additionally, Russian assault units entered Peshenoye itself, where intense fighting is ongoing. Battles are also continuing in Novovasilievka. If we move further south, we can see that Russian troops made another push. From Zelenovka, which Ukrainian forces also abandoned without resistance, they advanced to Ulakli and have now entered the village. Fighting is ongoing there as well. Meanwhile, reports are emerging that the Ukrainian armed forces are hastily withdrawing from the industrial zone of Kurakovo. If these reports are confirmed, the city could fall entirely under Russian control within the next few days, marking a significant success for the Russian army and military command. Let's now shift to the Kherson direction. Over the past week, there have been reports of Russian Marines attempting to gain control of islands in the Dnipro River near the Antonovsky Bridge. So far, there have been no results, and no geolocated materials have been provided. We will continue monitoring developments in this area. Now, let's move on to the Orekov sector. Switching to the map for December 13th, geolocated materials from this point show that Russian forces are expanding their controlled area in the direction of the city of Orekov. Today, new materials have come in from another point in this sector, indicating that Russian forces have expanded their control near Novaya Andreevka. Elsewhere, the front remains tense. Russian forces are attacking along the entire line of contact, but as of today, there are no significant changes on the map. Additionally, reports indicate that the Ukrainian armed forces struck the city of Rilsk today. Numerous impacts were recorded across different areas, damaging several buildings and vehicles. There are reports of injuries among local residents. On the streets, fragments characteristic of American GMLRS rockets were found, along with craters in the asphalt typical of these munitions. As for the circulated reports about the use of ATACMS missiles, we cannot confirm this at the moment. However, based on available evidence, everything points to GMLRS rockets. That's the news for today.